You're listening to Slutty Society, a podcast exploring sex, sexuality, and all things in between.
Hey, yo, man, you really don't have to be out here like broadcasting all your fucking porno shit.
Hey loves, what's up? I'm your host, Sheila J, and I am here to explore sex, sexuality, and all things in between. I hope your day is going well. I just saw the third installment of Guardians of the Galaxy for the second time. Big ass nerd, but the action and cinematography were on point. I fucking loved it. Also, recently I saw the Fast X movie for the Fast and Furious franchise, and that shit was just pure ridiculousness and nonsense. You know, I made a comment or a joke to a friend that someone should have a Fast and Furious watch party, and every time one of the characters says the word family, everyone at the party should take a shot. But then I went to see Fast X, and literally in one scene, they said family 7 times. So I'm like, wait, that's probably not a good idea unless you want to be unconscious. But anyways, thank you for being here to listen. And I'm excited because this is my first feedback episode.
Oh, shit, that's what's up.
I've really enjoyed different things some of my listeners have sent me, and I'm happy to take the time to respond. Now, this episode will have a different format from my regular episodes, and my plan is to continue doing these feedback episodes as the podcast goes on. So please keep it coming, keep the feedback coming. I definitely appreciate it. Okay, now initially, I didn't know what to expect when it came to who would be listening to my podcast, but Spotify for Podcasters provides me with all of these great analytics and data about my listeners. And one of my favorite things they let me know is what countries I have listeners in where my podcast is available, not just Spotify. I think it's fucking awesome, and I want to take a moment to show some appreciation to all of those countries around the world. Of course, I'm going to start off with the country I live in.
America! Fuck yeah!
I know we all, well, us Americans, like to act like we're the only country that matters, but that's far from the truth. And my other listeners deserve just as much love. I want to give them that right here, right now. Thank you for listening to my northern neighbors in Canada. Across the pond to those of you in the United Kingdom. Down under in Australia. Thanks for pressing play over in India. For letting my voice wash over you in Egypt. And on the other side of the Pacific in Japan. Shout out to Germany, South Africa, and Malaysia. I see you. And to the newest country to join the party, Sweden, you know what they say. The best are saved for last. And with one mic, my vagina tells of sex and sexuality and the word fuck every few sentences. I will continue to bring us all together. That is my promise. So thank you, and thank you, and thank you a fucking again. Oh man, but I seriously appreciate you, loves. It's been beyond motivating to know I have listeners in all of these places. I'm definitely going to keep the podcast pushing as long as you tolerate me. Okay, let me go ahead and get into the feedback and questions I've received. I want to start with the episode Send Nudes and Pass the Breadsticks. I'll start off with listener answers to the episode question first, and the question was, Have you ever caught a partner masturbating? Did this bother you? Why or why not? The first answer I received was via Spotify from the username Tzyler69. So Tzyler says, yes, just went on about my business. It didn't bother me at all. If anything, it's more reassurance to me that she's a grown-ass adult who has needs that she can handle on her own, just like me. I'm right there with you, Tzyler, in reference to feeling unbothered by this. That seems like a reasonable response. I think a lot of us, and as you put it, grown ass adults, would like to assume this perspective would be across the board. But I believe, just like partner sex, some people have complicated and layered feelings about masturbation. And I think the reason behind that is different for everyone. It varies. We carry a lot of shit with us from what we've experienced or learned or maybe did not learn from growing up. We take a lot of that into our adult lives. And to be honest, not everyone works out their shit. I'm definitely not here to judge anyone. Life is complex enough without judgment, but it's really up to each individual person to work through things and work through their own insecurities. I am a true believer in taking care of your mental health and therapy. Therapy is the best shit I've ever done for myself, and it's not a magic cure to anything. It's an ongoing process. You can't just go to therapy a couple of times and think everything is solved. But it has helped me learn so much about myself. It's provided me with tools to handle different situations, and it's helped me resolve insecurities I carried into my adult life. Also, it's helped me work through some really tough shit I've gone through in my life. I know I kind of went on a tangent with that, but tying it into people being insecure with masturbation or anything related to sex, you have to figure out, where those insecurities come from versus projecting it onto your partner. When you don't take proactive steps to figure that out, you stay, I guess, in this constant cycle of negative feelings, and you're probably going to hurt someone you care about instead of meeting them in a place of resolution. At the end of the day, I know for me personally, I don't want to be in a relationship, a partnership, a situationship, whatever the case may be, but I don't want to be in a situation where I resent my partner for making me feel bad about taking care of my own needs through masturbation. Also, I don't want to be in a situation where I resent my partner for making me feel bad for other things, like having a high sex drive, or if I want to try something new or something different sexually, any of that. I've experienced resentment towards people in all of those scenarios because they projected their insecurities and their internal shit onto me. It would be nice, it would be ideal if we lived in a world where everyone was educated and logical about sex and sexuality, but unfortunately, we don't. All right, I want to share one more response to the episode question about catching a partner masturbating. And this one comes from Danielle from Oakland. I love the Bay Area, by the way, but Danielle says, when I was young in my 20s, I would get horribly upset if I caught any of my boyfriends masturbating, or what was even worse to me back then, masturbating and watching porn. I compared myself to porn stars they'd watch, and I was pretty insecure about them masturbating in general. I'm now in my late 30s and married and could give two flying fucks. Okay, Danielle. But two flying fucks about my husband masturbating or watching porn. I no longer feel affected by it and have grown out of those insecurities from loving myself more. My husband is also the best at making me feel important and relevant, which is probably helpful too. Thanks for sharing, Danielle. You had me with not giving two flying fucks. I love it. But let me just say to anyone who compares themselves to porn stars, they are getting paid, okay? That is their job, to be on point, to give a certain image, to pretend, moan unnecessarily to the point I put some of the videos on mute. and to probably do things that don't actually feel good. So don't compare yourself to porn stars. But Danielle, I think anytime we put more emphasis on self love, it shows in so many aspects of our lives, right? And good for you for having a partner that builds you up. That's important. Okay, I want to move on to other feedback from the Send Nudes and Pass the Breadsticks episode. I received a reaction to something in this episode that I wasn't expecting, but at the same time, maybe I should have. So I had talked about a time period I called Dick Pic 2020 when we were in the pandemic and quarantine, and I received an abundance of dick pics and videos like they were free hugs, right? But when I talked about this on the episode, I think I mentioned clutter and distractions that are sometimes in the background of dick pics. And I also talked about a very creative dick video I received during quarantine. Because of me talking about these things, I have now invited more dick pics into my life. But the difference now is I am having people reach out to me asking for a rating of their dick pic or video, asking what would make it better or what my thoughts are on their dick pic or video. I'm going to be honest, I feel like I could be a creative director for someone's OnlyFans account. Shout out if you want to hire me for that. I'm open to it. But I feel like I know my shit and I'm kind of liking this. Someone sent me this steamy shower video the other day. It was lovely. I didn't have much to say about what needed to be changed on it. You knew what you were doing, 10 stars. That's all I'm going to say about that. And all of this made me want to look and see what I could find in reference to taking a good dick pic. So quickly, I want to do a high-level overview of this article I found from manofmany.com, and it's titled How to Take a Dick Pic That Women Actually Like. And as I review this, let's just say that anyone actually likes, because not everyone identifies as straight. But number one, angle. They note that you should take time to find your dick's strongest angle possible so it can be the center of attention. Number two, no balls. According to a number of experts, not sure who they are, maybe I can become one, but according to a number of experts, this article says you should leave your balls out of the picture altogether. Number three, lighting. They say not to settle for anything less than a perfectly lit nude dick. Number four, face or no face. And this article points out if you can't trust the person you are sending the photo to, leave out your face. Number five, timing of your send. Take the receiver's whereabouts into consideration. Number six, consent. It's important to obtain consent before invading someone's eyeballs. Number seven, get creative if you want to truly stand out. But all right, I'm looking forward to more dick pics now, and I expect them to be high quality. You have the tools now. You know what to do. Don't send me any bullshit. Moving on, I have something related to masturbation that someone who would like to remain anonymous sent me on Instagram, and they said I could share it. So they say, just to add to the conversation, I have been practicing edging in my masturbation journey. I try to have multiple sessions a day. Now, I know it might seem like torture to hold back busting a nut, but I find power in holding back. Plus, it gives me more energy in my workouts. I try to go weeks at a time not nutting while still engaging in masturbation, sex, oral, handjob, etc., etc. Now, of course, there are times when the flesh is weak and I just want to come, but when I do come, it's way more intense and powerful. Anyway, thank you for creating a safe space to have these types of conversations. I look forward to the next episode. Thank you for sharing that. I'm obviously not a man, so I wouldn't necessarily be able to relate to the benefits of doing this as a man. But I will say I dated someone maybe a year ago or so, and they ended up practicing edging and spoke really highly of it. And I found this article on forhims.com, which, by the way, I love their commercials promoting mental health, sexual health, skincare, and also, I think, hair care for men. I don't think we see many or enough companies like this. So, I wanted to go over a few things from their article about edging and orgasm control. Now, they defined edging as involving sexual stimulation almost to the point of orgasm and putting on the brakes. When you approach the edge or point of orgasm, you stop, allowing you to get close to the edge just before reaching climax. You can practice edging yourself through masturbation or during sexual intercourse by slowing down your movements as you're about to pop the bubbly, so to speak. And they outline the benefits of edging. So there's some stuff in here about increased orgasm control, improved stamina, better, more pleasurable sex, and more intense orgasms. And they break down the reasons why. I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to post this, maybe on my website because it's pretty bare right now. But a lot of good information about that. They also talk about, is edging bad? And they state currently there's no research to show that edging or similar methods of delaying orgasm and improving sexual stamina are bad for your health. So there's some more information in there about that. They also talk about other ways to increase sexual stamina. So I think overall it's a pretty good article. Again, I think I'll post it on my website just because I need to definitely do some shit there. But thank you again to that person that shared their edging journey with me on Instagram. I appreciate it. I'm here for it. I think it's great to try different things sexually to get better results or to get different experiences in general. All right, I received a random question to this episode, and the question was from someone named Drew. And Drew says, it seems like you masturbate a lot. Do you ever feel like it's too much? Well, Drew, absolutely fucking not. Masturbating is not controlling my life. I'm not failing in my career or in my personal life because I'm rubbing one out. But seriously, I think I'm just very comfortable with my sexuality and I'm comfortable talking about it, which is obvious since I dedicated an entire episode to masturbation, but I don't feel like I need to hide that I'm doing something that's natural, something that's normal. And since I am so comfortable and since I'm so open about it, it might appear that I'm always doing it. I'm not sure how we can even measure what is too much, right? I think that depends on each individual person and their body and their needs. And to be honest, I don't always masturbate because I'm horny. Sometimes I do it when I can't fall asleep or if I have a headache. Some people like to pop pills for migraines. I prefer to pop my pussy for relief. But masturbation can assist with headaches. It's actually one of the many benefits outside of self pleasure. You can look it up. I'm not going to go over it right now, but no, I don't think I masturbate too much. I think I masturbate according to what's best for me, but good question. Okay, I want to get to the feedback I received for the jacuzzi noodles episode. Then, once I'm done with that, I do have two sex stories I received from listeners, and I'll share that before wrapping up. Now, the question I had on the jacuzzi noodles episode was, where is the craziest place you've ever had sex? So I had several replies here, so I'll just go ahead and read them off. The dentist's office, Subway, and they aren't clear if they meant the fast food franchise or an actual Subway in New York. But also the Ferris wheel, waiting in a long late night drive through line, a dressing room, sex in a church, on a swing, in a hospital, and a haunted house. I'm glad to know some of my listeners are freaks. I love it. The haunted house one reminds me of an experience I had that I completely forgot, and I'm going to share that real quick. But in my early 20s, I was seeing this guy, and he still lived with his parents. And one time, his parents were away, they were out of town. So I come over, we're listening to music, we're smoking some weed, we're having some drinks, just vibing out, right? We end up in this dramatic makeout session, fucking knocking stuff down and moving all over the house. It was crazy. And we end up in this room. It's somewhat dark, so I'm not paying attention. I'm too busy focused on us playing tonsil hockey to observe anything right away. But there was a day bed in there, and we make our way to it. We're still kissing and shit. And right when we sit down, I open my eyes fully and fuck my life, loves. There are shelves filled with fucking dolls. His mom had to be some kind of creepy ass doll collector. I don't fucking know. Shit, Annabelle was probably in there waiting to put a spirit in me through my vagina. I had so many questions going on in my head, and why did he take me to this room of all rooms in that house? I still ended up fucking him though, just not in that room. It was so creepy. Anyways, I had a question from someone who is going by my name is Zuri. So this person says, you mentioned you had sex in a parking structure. What time of day was it and where? Okay, super random question, and you want some super specific details, but I'm happy to answer. It was the early afternoon, I want to say, because we just had lunch right before, and it was in the parking structure of the fashion outlets of Chicago. I was visiting the Midwest at the time, and we were in the back seat, and there were busy shoppers walking by. It was great. We had some fun. Um, Now, Danielle from Oakland writes in again, and Danielle wants to know if I ever get scared if I'm going to get caught when having sex in public places. I guess the answer to that is no. Sometimes, depending on the place, I feel a tiny bit of anxiety, but the adventurous side of my personality takes over and I feel way too brave. Now, I also received a general question in response to the Jacuzzi Noodle episode, and this came from someone named Aaron. And Aaron says, what would you say your relationship status is? It seems as though you do what you want, or you're possibly in an open relationship. Do you see yourself being married at some point since you are 36 years old? So, when I first read this question, it made me laugh because I can't tell if Aaron is being misogynistic or if he's just generally curious. I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt and I'll answer the question because it might provide further perspective not only to him but to other people. But I am single and I'm content. I'll add that. And regarding being married and Aaron tying that into my age, if I wanted to be married, I could have been. I've actually been proposed to 3.5 times. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and explain the half time so no one writes in and I have to go over this all over again. But basically, I was in a relationship with someone who came to me with this document, and he stated his lawyer had put it together and he wanted us to get married. But keep in mind, before he came to me with this paper, getting married to him was something I never expressed I wanted, and I thought I made it clear that it was something I wasn't interested in. But he still took it upon himself to do this. I don't have this desire to get married as society likes to assume all women have. It's not something I've ever envisioned for my life. Of course, I'll never say never, but I couldn't see myself in, I guess, a traditional marriage, so to speak. I also want to be clear, I don't think I'm above other women who want marriage or who are married and want that for their lives. I think it's a personal decision for everyone. The world has to stop acting like we all value the same things or want the same things in life. To be married or not to be married, that doesn't make you any better or any less than the opposing side. Again, I don't see myself in a traditional situation. What that exactly looks like will be defined by myself and whatever future partner I may end up with. It won't be determined by society, by family, by friends, or anyone else. I'm having fun right now. I'm enjoying different experiences and just living my fucking life as I should, as everyone should. Okay, loves, before I end the episode, I want to tell you a story. The first story I have for you was shared by a listener who would like to remain anonymous. So, I had an 11:30 meeting with this lady at my office. My boss asked me if I wanted to go to lunch. I declined because of the meeting. So, my boss leaves. The lady walks in 30 seconds later. She comes into my office, sits down in front of my desk. We are chatting, etc. She had on a long dress skirt, low-cut shirt, massive tits. She dropped something on the floor. Me being a nice guy, I offer to get it. I look under my desk and it's her cell phone. So I go to reach for it and she said no. I look up and she's on all fours going after it. She comes all the way under the desk, picks the phone up, and a hand goes on my dick. She starts rubbing my leg. My heart is beating so fast because I didn't know when my boss was going to return. Next thing I know, she has my cock out. By this time, it's so hard. She starts giving me head. I'm so turned on but worried about my boss coming back. So I'm leaning back on my office chair and start just letting her go to town. Then she whispers, "Fuck me." The next story comes from another listener who would like to remain anonymous. She is calling her story Planes, Trains, and the Backseat of an Uber. I plan a vacation with a guy I am newly dating. This is our first trip together. I was feeling a little nervous, but mostly excited. We meet at the airport to travel from Phoenix to Denver. Before we go through TSA, he tells me he brought a couple of edible gummies and we should take them before the flight. Why not? We eat the edibles and have a few drinks before boarding the plane. I only felt the alcohol until right before we took off. The edible kicked in. When the plane started moving, I could feel every bump and every shift all over my body. I asked him, "What the hell kind of edibles are these?" We take off, and once we're in the air, he puts my jacket over my lap. Eventually, we both end up with our hands down each other's pants. The flight is under 2 hours, and we are still high by the time we land. We grab our luggage and jump on the train to head downtown. We are both still worked up. I jack him off on the train, under my jacket, of course. We end up missing our stop, get off on the next one, and end up taking an Uber to the hotel. He played with my pussy the entire way there. Finally, we made it and had the best fuck session. Okay, loves, thanks again for everyone that sent feedback and reached out. Remember, keep that shit coming. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram at Slutty Society Podcast. You can also send me feedback, questions, dirty thoughts, and your sex-related stories via email at sluttysocietypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, loves.